Welcome, my lovelies. Welcome to the news and views for the award-winning EV Café. 30 minutes of what's happening in sustainable transport with expert analysis from the EV Café crew, amply supported by Drax Electric Vehicles. And do you know what? They've just been nominated for 3 awards at this year's Energy Awards. Digital Innovation of the Year. They've also been Energy Champion of the Year for the collective achievement. And this is the most impressive. Energy Champion of the Year individual achievement for Daniel Starman. Starman waving in the sky. Anyway, there we are. Yeah, well, there we go. Sorry about that. Now then, today's opinions on a stick. Sam in an echoey room. Good morning, Sam. How are you, dear?
Good morning.
Very clever.
We are delighted to have Sarah back from her Europa Odyssey. How are you, Flower?
I'm back. I'll never be the same again.
Golly, we'll hear more about that later. And Paul, you screeched in with the seat of your pants on fire. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm on fire.
With
the seat of my pants
Smouldering.
and everything. There you go. Ha, baby.
Paul Kirby, he's smoking. Right, okay. So coming up, we've got telematics that will drive efficiency savings with a nuclear power station fleet. Paul, I'm coming to you for that one. Fears that the China EV price war may spill over into the UK market. What? I'm not frightened. Sarah, coming to you for that one. London is to end the congestion charge exemption for electric vehicles. And we all know that Sam is a Cockney geezer. All right, mate. He loves a bit of London, so we'll talk to him about that.
Slightly.
And finally, another way that electric cars clean the air. A new study says brake dust can be reduced by 83% using EVs. There'll be a bun fight. We'll all just pitch in on that one. But first, it's the EV Café Commercial Club, where we highlight innovation and new things in our industry.
The Commercial Club from the EV Café.
Innovation applauded.
And first up, we've got BYD. April 2025 marked a milestone for the Chinese automaker, with BYD's registrations surging 38% year on year to 13,144 units, surpassing Tesla's 12,861 registrations in Europe. This surge was driven by strong demand for BYD's Atto 3 and the Dolphin, both of which have gained traction amongst cost-conscious EV buyers. Great news for me. Others seem a bit nervous about it, but we'll get into that in a minute. I think it's a great thing. ZapMap have published new stats on public charge point installations for the first 3 months of 2025. Latest figures show an additional 3,141 new charge points were installed in Q1, bringing the total number across the country to 76,840, a year-on-year increase of 29%. That is impressive. And finally, something a little bit different, the Coventry Very Light Rail vehicle. Coventry Very Light Rail vehicles, battery powered, meaning it produces zero emissions at the point of use. And if you imagine like a little tram, oh, isn't it lovely? Isn't it cute? And I was around when this was first mooted some 8 years ago in Coventry, and it's now starting to take to the tracks. It uses, it's battery powered, uses regenerative braking, minimises brake dust, uses steel wheels, steel track, no tyre dust. And it provides an alternative to the car. It's perfect for Coventry. It's it's small enough to fit in, but big enough to do the job. I like the Coventry Very Light Railway, and they'll get the commercial clap this week. Right, should we get on with the news?
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you kindly.
I thought
Right.
we had more clapping going on.
Yeah, I did some more clapping.
Okay, we'll throw some fish to the seals and move on. Following successful pilot trials, Civil Engineering Partnership Bylaw has invested in Webfleet's automated Link 340 asset management solution to improve the efficiency of both on-site vehicles and construction equipment at Hinkley Point C nuclear power station, We'll refer to it as HPC from here on in. HPC is one of the largest and most complex construction projects in Europe and is set to supply low-carbon electricity to around 6 million homes on completion. Now then, they operate 400 construction assets from concrete mixers, excavators and generators to jet washers and JCBs. And they can spot when the equipment's been switched on but is idling using this device. And it gives them dash cams to protect drivers. It really is a cracking innovation and way of using telematics to not just do the things that we know it can do, but actually do a great deal more, monitor different types of equipment so that we reduce emissions across the piece. Paul, telematics provides answers, but many fleets have yet to even trust it for the day-to-day stuff. What's the issue?
I mean, the issue, goodness. So I think there's an issue of ignorance, as with all of these things. You know, there's a lack of insight and understanding. I think a lot of people think that this is Big Brother. A lot of people feel it's an intrusion on their privacy, that type of thing, and unions get involved and can restrict actually the deployment of telematics into an organisation. But telematics has been around a long time. And most of the bigger fleets actually do have this kind of tech. Sort of certainly circa 70% in the van and HGV space. Almost 100% of HGVs have some form of telematics fitted. But this is a great use of it, and I think, you know, what we don't understand is that it can extend beyond just the vehicle and move into the plant and get, you know, really helpful data to decarbonize. Let's be honest, this is really supportive. There's 85 vans in this cohort, 10 tractors, you know, and it's a small site, a relatively small site, so they're able to get around under electric propulsion. But this gives insight for those that are diesel to reduce the amount of time that those vehicles are just sitting idling, and all of that good stuff. So I think this is a great thing. It proves again that telematics goes beyond just the vehicle and just the driver, but extends into a whole bunch of other things that help ultimately in protecting our planet.
And Sarah, driver safety is really key here. Webfleet are pushing hard now, not just in terms of emissions reduction, but in keeping the driver safe, that duty of care. That's an element which has emerged over the last year or two.
Yeah, I think they have some kind of driver feedback loop which you can access as a driver to say whether you are struggling with the equipment you've been given. And that going on the driver piece, there's so many staff go in and out of Hinkley Point. As you said, it's one of the biggest operations in Europe and has obviously divided the nation whether nuclear is a good thing or not. And the local community has benefited massively with many, many more bus services, many, many more cycle lanes and parking. And they are getting more and more rapid charging hubs along the A39, which aren't funded by Hinkley Point, but because of the increased number of people living there and traffic flow, the people in the rural communities have suddenly realised that they do now have rapid charging available, which is just a big deal for the last 5 years. So all in all, it comes down to the end consumer is always the driver. Are they satisfied? Are they being looked after? And so years later, this project is proving itself to be good, not only for the company, EDF, I think, and now the local community too, but also the drivers.
And Sam, HGVs, wouldn't it be fabulous to have electric HGVs working at Hinkley Point? I don't think there are any. I've not seen anything to that effect, but there's no reason why they couldn't work.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of yet, John, but there's no reason why they shouldn't work everywhere in the fullness of time. So, yeah, particularly on duty cycles that are reasonably low. Then absolutely it's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? So yeah, more of that too, hopefully in the future.
Speaking of no-brainer, back to me. Let's do some shout-outs. Right, now then, 7:43. Now, this was really, really interesting this morning. Steve Warts smashed through the doors at Economy Trucks, bless your little heart, and only 4 minutes later, Gary Comerford, who must have thought he was in for the win, got in at 7:47. Oh, bless his little heart. Daryl Sharp, good morning to you. You made it at 9:03. Still an hour early, and love you for it. Graham McLaren, my apologies. Graham McLaren Harris. Good morning to you, sir. Stuart Humphrey, Amazing Gaming Daily. It must be Friday. Darn right, my friend, and you're here. Thank you for that. Who else we got? Evie Bino, Ron Godfrey. Hello, hello, hello. Sunny Surrey. And then James from Screenwash King just made it 10 o'clock on the nail. But you're in good company, James, because the man that is DEV, the Daily Electric Vehicle, Dev Chakravarti, was in the house for a funner Friday and the last day of half term, thank God. Yes, I can imagine there are quite a few parents uttering the same words. Michael Barton, he's not in London this week, he's back in Bristol. And Russ Morgan, hello EV humans. Hello, Ross. Rob Dustin, he's in Poole. Are you swimming? What stroke are you doing? That's good. 11 out of 10 today. Rob, tell us, why are you so happy, my friend? Like that. Pam Hanlon, she's here. Top of the morning to you, and top of the morning to you. And the rest of the day, is that what you say? Rest of the day to you? I have no idea. Leo Pickford.
Top of the morning or something.
Yeah, she says top of the morning. What's the response? Is it and the rest of the day to you? Is it bottom of the morning? Tell us, Pam. Let us know. Ben McDonald, good morning. Leo Pickford, good to see you. Lulu Bonbon O'Hagan is in the house. Good to see you. And Matt Lang. Oh, you were in Cannes, weren't you? Now, that was fancy, very filmy. Matt Lang, he's talking about swallowtail butterflies. This matters. This is nature. We love that stuff. Now then, LinkedIn user, morning all, and then he says, good morning all. I say it's a
Assuming
he.
it's the same one.
I know not who these are, but if that is Peter Heath, he's got nice teeth. Let us know. Rachel Lewis, good morning to you from Compleo. Who else we got? Belinda Guy. Oh, I love that. Belinda Guy with a slightly grey sky.
Oh, no.
Oh dear. Peter Heath, he's got nice teeth. He is in the house from PLP. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. Jim Blair. Oh, now then. Metallica tickets went on sale at 10 o'clock this morning. If you sign up to O2, I think it is, you get early access. My son and daughter have 4 tickets to Metallica. They want me to go. I feel like I might be a bit old. Really? I mean, I love Metallica, but I'm just going to... maybe not. Anyway, Shane Reese. Yeah, I think they probably are. But that's the worrying thing, isn't it? We're all getting quite old. Anyway, Shane Reese, morning to you, my friend.
They're partnered with our sponsor Iveco as well. Just saying. They've got a Metallica truck. It's on one of our videos.
You're right. Now, Iveco are a sponsor of ours, and Metallica do Master of Puppets. So we're the puppets. Is that right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, weird thinking.
Anyway,
Mark
back to the
Hughes
shout
Webb.
outs.
We've got an awful lot of hyphenated and double-barreled today. This is a posh programme today. 4 minutes. Yes, sir.
I want to know who this is. LinkedIn user. Hi, first one I've come to. Been driving EV since 2011.
That's
Who are you?
Amber. I was just talking to her. Yes.
Amber. Amber who?
Hang on, I'm just scrolling. I just replied.
Green, amber, red?
Smith. Amber Smith.
Amber Smith.
Amber Smith.
Right.
Well done, Amber
Amber,
Smith. That is a decent innings on 2011 for driving
That's
EV.
very impressive. She's from Leon the Solent.
down
Another
near
double-barrel
Portsmouth.
situation.
Now, that's Portsmouth, and you know I've got a bit of an issue because I'm from Southampton. But do tell us,
Uh-oh.
2011. What were you driving in 2011? I was driving a Nissan Leaf. Less said about that, the better. Who else we got? Anthony Marcoux. Now he's from Drive Tech, and he can teach you all you need to know about driving EV. Good man, love him lots. And I think we shall move on. Bless you all for joining. Really appreciate it. Every Friday morning, I sit here thinking, will we be the only ones? And we never are. And we really appreciate it. Thank you. Right, let's move on. Now, price cuts of more than 30% were introduced by Chinese manufacturers for electric vehicles in their home market last weekend in what the Financial Times called a prolonged price war. BYD reduced prices of 20 different models. That in itself is a headline. 20 different models from BYD by up to 34%, with other manufacturers following suit. Peter Golding, chief exec of Fleet Check, said this looks very much like a strategy by BYD to bear reduced margins in order to gain market share and place pressure on the viability of domestic rivals in terms of profitability and future research and development. Sarah, we mentioned BYD right at the top of the show and how successful this is being. The question that this raises is that if they and other manufacturers are willing to do this in China, what would be stopping them adopting similar measures in the UK and other markets? And if they do, is that a good thing for business and for consumers or a bad thing? for business.
We
in
were
the
talking
UK?
about this yesterday. Abhishek and I were talking to Chris Pritchett from Shoesmiths. We're due to be at an automotive event hosted by them in London in a couple of weeks' time. And we're going to put this on the agenda because it's on everyone's lips. This is about, we want cheap cars, great. We want to mobilize, we want to do the electrification thing, but we don't want to pay the price tag. We don't want to risk having a stranded asset that isn't, going to do the return on investment later. The cars are performing. The cars are doing really well. They come with all the same warranties. So again, I'll split this between the sort of global economic. I've got hay fever. Leave me alone. The global economic piece versus the consumer behaviour piece. I think they're going to be popular. I think we should be worried about that, but it doesn't feel like we should be worried about it in a bigger picture thing. Even Drive Tech, I think it was Drive Tech, they either had the Capri or they had the new Sea Lion on the European rally. And it was glorious. And we even asked them how they were finding driving it, and they just all loved it. So it's just a tough sell when you're getting everything we've asked for, but it's just not coming from Europe or the UK.
Absolutely. Now, Paul, you have, I think, your thumb in the air, which is cool.
No, I had a comment though.
Go on, Sam. I have got something to say, but you go on.
Oh, okay. Well, shall I do this while I'm talking? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going to do it
that's
too, 'cause
the
it might
only way
create-
to talk.
Yeah, it's the only way. Yeah. I had a question, John. It says your quote said this looks very much like a strategy by BYD to bear reduced margins. Now, if you're knocking 34% off your vehicle, that's how much margin did you have in the first place? So it's all a bit suspect for me, isn't it? I mean, how much of that margin is the government-funded element as well? So it's all a little bit, not sure we're seeing there's a straight back going on here.
Indeed, and probably not. And I think that's a really interesting point, because whether the state funding or not, ultimately it's the consumer and the businesses that operate these vehicles that should benefit. And if China want to pay for that privilege, crack on as far as I'm concerned. Paul, in the commercial vehicle space, are we seeing a lot of this similar activity where there's a real price incentive to make the transition now?
No, in short. We're not. So if you take the Horizon van that is brand new to market, it's very, very similar in price to its compatriots around. The Transit Custom is a little bit more potentially, depending on which model you go with. But it's the spec for spec piece that is the difference there, and perhaps you're getting slightly more for similar money. Maybe you don't have as many options to add up and things like that. So it's a little bit simpler. The tech is a little bit better. The battery's a little bit bigger, but you're getting a similar sort of price. So I think that the Chinese are taking the option, aren't they, of entering our market, and BYD are a potential entrant in terms of the commercial vehicle sector, and they have a very interesting large van, and I'm sure they're going to come up with a good medium van as well. So I'm fully expectant to see this, and I welcome the disruption in the early stages, but I do understand the concerns around unfairly biased pricing based on state intervention. It kind of doesn't sit well entirely, but I do value the thumb in the nose or the teeth or the face of the legacy competitors brands.
Paul, we were talking to Ian Plummer this week from Auto Trader, which was really interesting because he was talking about the Chinese effect. Summarize his brilliance in a few words, if you can. I mean, his view was that it's market forces.
Yeah, his view. I mean, he said something early doors. I think I've still got it written down here. Actually, that it was the heart of automotive. The heart of the automotive world was China right now. So he went to the Shanghai Automotive Show, and he said that you couldn't shake a stick at the amount of various different products that were available, and it was quite outstanding. And as an individual, his comprehension of the market is quite outstanding, and we just spent pretty much 45 minutes with our jaws on the floor at amazing stats that Auto Trader have compiled, and his knowledge himself.
He made me really think, Sam. He was talking about, we think that Jaguar are British, but they're not. They're Indian. And we think of Stellantis as being British, and they're not. And we think of so many different brands as being from a particular country, and they're not. And I just wonder whether we get to a point where actually where it comes from doesn't matter.
I think the last statement is correct, John, and they are still British in my mind because they have the provenance, they have the brand, and in many cases, like the likes of Polestar, who very strongly defend the fact that they might be a Chinese-owned or backed company, but they design and they engineer things in their native country. So, and similarly, there's a lot of design work that went to the Jaguars, the latest ones, which were not Chinese, even if they are owned from that vintage now. So I'd like to think that it's a multi-country, multicultural type brand these days, and I don't think we should just turn and go, "Oh, because it's owned by China, it's Chinese." I don't think that's the case. I think very much that it's a contribution from various different countries, and the heritage and the origin of where these vehicles were built in the first place still is valid because a lot of the design and architecture comes from there.
Sarah,
is this the new way to put my hands up? I just wanted to back Sam's comment there and tell you a story that is admittedly 5 years old, so don't sue me. But when you go to the docks at Bristol, which is vast, they have the Toyota sort of off-ramping area, and Toyota hand finished their vehicles there with an absolute army of Bristol employees, Southwest employees, local employees, because they wanted to have that final British quality before they sell it, and that really opened my eyes.
That's really helpful, Paul.
I think
I love this.
Ian Plummer said that the market is becoming global. To Sam's point, that it is not about one country doing their bit. It's about bringing all of the countries with their individual expertises and combining that expertise to produce a vehicle. So, it doesn't matter whether it's here, there, or everywhere. What is so funny?
No, it's not. It's not super funny. I just love that word. It's expertise, because it's very. It's a lovely word. It's lovely.
Combining expertise. There you go.
I love it.
Who cares about the English language? We're global.
1022. 1022. Let's move on. Right. Okay. Transport for London is pressing ahead with plans to stop exempting electric vehicles from the capital's congestion charging schemes from January 2026. Instead, a discount will apply from an increased standard price. The charge is currently £15 per day per vehicle, a rate that's applied to individual motorists and fleet vehicles alike since 2020. TfL is proposing to increase the charge to £18 per day per vehicle from the 2nd of January 2026. The aim is to switch even more journeys to public transport and active transport. At present, EVs benefit from a 100% discount, which is expiring at the end of 25. And mindful of the ongoing electrification of London's vehicle stock, changes to the scheme are needed to meaningfully address congestion, TfL stated. So, TfL's proposing that electric cars registered for autopay will benefit from a 25% discount to £13.50. Meanwhile, electric vans, electric heavy goods vehicles and electric quadricycles registered for autopay will receive a 50% discount to £9. TfL estimates that these changes will result in 2,200 fewer vehicles on the capital's roads on an average weekday. Sam, is this an important development, or is it just tinkering around the edges and a bit of a betrayal for people who've invested in EVs already?
No, I don't think it's a betrayal. And by the way, I'm not a Cockney Londoner from the beginning, although I did live there for 15 years. It doesn't make me a Cockney in any stretch of the imagination. West Country posh boy still. But no, I think, John, it's important that we do this because nothing in life is free. And I don't like the idea of people expecting free things and they're having a shock and awe when it suddenly gets charged for. So I think it's right that everyone that's on the roads, particularly in London, pay for the privilege of doing so, such as the nature of the conurbation as it is and the cost that it is to bear to keep that place ticking. But I think some discounts on the auto pay and with the electric vehicles getting those discounts you referenced is definitely good, because nothing should be free and there should be a tapering effect whereby there is an incentivization for the zero emission at tailpipe vehicles to benefit from a lower cost. So no one's ever going to be happy with any solution that is proposed. But I think it's right that everyone should contribute in different ways depending on the vehicle type that you've got. So I think it's a good idea.
And great to see commercial vehicles getting that increased discount. Come to you in a second, Paul.
Yeah, it is, and so it should do, right? Because that's the commercial vehicles that are coming out of London are the lifeblood of London, and if we stifle their ability or their ability to do that, then London's economy will suffer. So there is a direct correlation between making sure that they are incentivized to still come in, albeit through zero emission incentivized discounts, to keep London turning and keep the economy moving.
Absolutely right. Before I come to you, Paul, Sarah Sloman said single occupancy vehicle use is what's driving congestion everywhere, EV or not. Whoever you are, Sarah, you're good. You should be on our show. Paul.
I've got expertises.
Yes, he does have expertise. I'm gonna start my comment by saying this is good news, because it was completely taken away from the previous iteration of this piece of news was we are removing it. So somebody's had a word in the ear of TfL, and I'd like to think that we played a part in doing that, because we were very, very clear. I've spoken to Lillian Greenwood personally about this, that it will reverse the trend to electric vans. Listen, you can stand in front of anybody, right, and talk. Don't have to listen. I just did.
I'm sure she did.
I'm sure she remembers your conversation over the 10,000 she's had in the last 6 months, Paul.
She probably does.
Absolutely. This is evidence. Shut your face.
Once seen, never forgotten.
but the point here is, though, vans, commercial vehicles have to do the job that they have to do. They invested in going electric to avoid the cost. The congestion zone, the ULEZ, all of those things are to drive down emissions. This has the potential to reverse that trend. What you've got to remember is British businesses are taking on. I'll explain in a minute, Sam. You'll understand. But the British businesses are taking on extra national insurance. They've just had road fund license added to the price of their annual thing at £50 to £60 a month. They are paying additional taxes in other ways. But the bottom line, in terms of minimum wage and all of those kinds of things, to slap yet another cost. And let's not forget, at the moment, that's £9, that's £45 a week, that's £220 a month that they have to pay. They can't get on the tube, they can't jump on a bus, they have to go and do it. They've invested in an electric van to save that £15 a month, £15 a day as it was currently, and effectively that money that they save goes against the lease cost of the van, which is considerably more. Now, they've invested while the tech was more expensive, they've invested where the lease cost is much higher. This is a very detrimental effect to do retrospectively on people that have invested in a positive future. And I think it is still a retrograde step. And Sam, you say that you must be very insulated from all of the costs that are hitting these people and the people that have been committed.
The issue I have, Paul, is that it's not retrospective, right?
It
when
is.
the congestion charge existed, but bear with me. When the congestion charge was thought of all those years ago, everyone threw their hands up in the air and go, no, we can't have that. And then when it actually came to existence, and when the low emission zones came to existence, people threw their hands up in the air at the very last moment going, oh, we can't afford this. There were years and years of understanding and forecast that said this was going to happen. This is something that's being initiated, but it's not new news to the economy. So if you throwing your hands up in the air at this point and going, oh my God, there's another cost, and you're not aware of the fact this was happening, then you're living under a rock, because it was going to happen. So
yeah, but
you plan
it
for these
wasn't
things.
going to happen before the market.
All of these costs.
You've got to establish the market. The market has to get to a price point which is favourable and equitable. Right?
Yeah, but you're suggesting that they've been slapped with another cost they weren't expecting. This has been on the cards for years. So the planning, if you planned for it, then you'll be all right.
They weren't planning in 2025 to be paying this figure. That nobody told them. That was completely new, and so new that when I told Lillian Greenwood
your
and
mate, Lil.
Richard Bruce, ZFT, Richard Bruce looked at me and went, well, they haven't told us. So you can't say it was planned. It was not planned. This is an independent act by TfL. You did. You said that everybody can plan for it. How are they planning for it?
If that's what you do in business, Paul, if you plan for the eventualities of things like that,
for the unknown,
going to happen. So things like tariffs on congestion charges are never going to be free forever. So you must make provisions within your business modelling to cater for it. And many businesses have.
There's a reason they live 200 miles apart.
My darlings, what is known is that it's 10:29. I've still got a story to do, and we're going to be late unless I do this
Sorry.
quickly. So, not at all. Adding value. Thank you both. We now can quantify the amount of brake dust that is saved from EVs. So, tailpipe emissions we've known for a long time don't exist in EVs, so that's a great thing. And everybody then says, no, what about tyre particulates? What about brake dust? EVs, 83% less brake dust than a traditional internal combustion engine vehicle. That's brilliant. It's 10:30. We've hit the nail on the head. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you've got any clean transport, PR, or news stories you'd like us to cover, then please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from those three because they've been fabulous today. This has been an EV Cafe production. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just more argumentative and funner. The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with the AA, Webfleet, Europe, Cartive Echo, Spiri, Schneider Electric, Dynamon, EV Blocks and AW Energy, with the EV Cafe supporting the transition to clean transport with this news, sponsored by Drax Electric Vehicles. Good luck with your energy awards. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend, wherever it takes you. Until next Friday, bye!
Bye-bye.
And the rest of the day to you from Pam Hanlon.